Have you ever wondered who the most feared witches in the history were, and what dark legends surrounded them? From ancient mediums who summoned the dead, to mythic sorceresses who turned men into beasts, to real-life poisoners who terrified kings, these women wielded power that inspired awe, fear, and mystery. In this video, we will dive deep into the chilling history's most notorious witches, uncovering the secrets behind their legendary deeds. Thank you for joining us. Your curiosity keeps history alive, and we are excited to take you into this journey of the feared and the magical. Chapter 1: The Witch of Endor. Long before the infamous witch hunts into medieval Europe, one of the earliest and most mysterious stories of witchcraft appeared in the ancient world. Her name was never recorded, yet her legend had survived for thousands of years. History remembers her simply as the Witch of Endor, and mysterious medium said to possess. Her history unfolds during the reign of Saul, the first king of ancient Israel. Saul had once been the powerful and confident ruler, chosen and anointed by the prophet Samuel. Under Samuel's guidance, Saul united the tribes and led them into battle against their enemies. But as the years passed, Saul's rule grew troubled. He began making reckless decisions, and eventually he lost the favor of God and the prophet who had supported him. When Samuel died, Saul lost greatest advisor, leaving the king isolated and increasingly desperate. Meanwhile, a powerful enemy was gathering strength. The Philistines was preparing for the war. As their arms assembled, fear spread across the land. Saul desperately sought guidance through traditional sacred methods, dreams, priests, and prophets, but no answers came. The silence terrified him. Earlier in this reign, Saul had outlawed all forms of witchcraft. Mediums and sorcerers were expelled from the land, as such practices were believed to violate sacred laws. But now, facing defeat and unable to hear divine guidance, Saul secretly searched for someone who could break that very law. Eventually, his events whispered of a woman living in a small village called Endor. They said she could speak with the dead, a dangerous beast in the night, knowing the danger of what he was about to do. Saul disguised himself before making the journey. Accompanied by two royal men, he traveled through the darkness to avoid being recognized. When Saul asked her to summon a spirit, she immediately grew suspicious. The ban on the necromancy had made such practices extremely dangerous. She warned him cautiously. "You know what King Saul has done?" she said. He has driven out mediums and spirits from the land. Why are you setting the trap for me? Believing the disguising king to be an ordinary man seeking forbidden guidance, The woman reluctantly agreed to perform the ritual. Saul made a shocking request. He wanted to summon the spirit of the dead prophet Samuel. The medium began her ritual, possibly using chants, incense, and ancient methods believed to open communication with the spirit world. Accounts of the event suggest she soon entered a trance-like state. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. The woman cried out of shock. At the moment, she realized the identity of the man standing before her. Somehow, she recognized her. Her client was none other than King Samuel himself. But something else had frightened her even more. She claimed to see the spirit from the earth. The figure resembled an old man wrapped in the robe. Saul immediately believed it to be Samuel. The king fell off the ground in fear and reverence. Through the medium, the spirit spoke, but instead to comfort guidance, Samuel's spirit rebuked Saul for disturbing the dead. Then he delivered a terrifying prophecy. The king would fall, Israel would lose the coming battle, and Saul himself would die the very next day alongside his sons. It was the worst possible news that the king could hear. The king's collapse. The prophecy shattered Saul. Overcome with fear and exhaustion, he collapsed on the ground. He had not eaten all day, and the weight of the prophecy crushed his spirit. Surprisingly, the woman who had summoned the spirit showed compassion. She urged Saul to regain his strength. She prepared food for him, slaughtering a calf and baking bread so the king could recover before returning to his army. It is a strange and human moment within the story. The mysterious medium, often remembered as a dark witch, actually cared for the frightened king. After eating, Saul and his men left the house and disappeared back into the night. The next day, the prophecy came true. During the fierce battle against the Philistines, Saul's sons were killed. Facing defeat and unwilling to be captured, Saul took his own life. Legend, fear, and ancient beliefs. The story of the witch of Endor appears in ancient scripture, has fascinated historians, theologians, and storytellers of centuries. Was she truly capable of summoning the spirit? Or was the event symbolic? A warning about the dangers of seeking forbidden knowledge. In the ancient Near East, necromancy was widely believed to be real. Many cultures practiced rituals meant to contact ancestors or spirits of the dead. Archaeological discoveries have revealed texts describing elaborate ceremonies involving offerings, chants, and sacred objects. The Witch of Endor may have been part of the tradition. Yet every story is also unusual. Unlike many later witch legends, she is not portrayed as malicious or evil. She simply practices a forbidden skill and ultimately shows kindness to the very king who outward her craft. Over time, however, the tale transformed into one of the earliest and most chilling witch legends in history. Chapter 3: Morgan Le Fay, the Dark Sorceress of Camelot. Among the most intriguing and complex figures in medieval legend stands Morgan Le Fay, a woman whose name has become synonymous with power, mystery, and fear. Unlike mythical witches of early eras who existed in the margins of society, Morgan Le Fay is deeply entwined with one of the most famous legends in Western history, the story of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Morgan Le Fay's story is complex because her character changes across centuries of the storytelling. In early Welsh and Breton tales, she was purely evil. She was a healer, a magical scholar, and a powerful ally who occasionally helped Arthur and his knights. But as the Arthurian legend evolved, particularly under the pen of medieval French writers, Morgan became a dark figure, a sorcerer who plotted against her own half-brother, the king, and sought control over Camelot through cunning and enchantment. A princess born of power and mystery, Morgan Le Fay was said to be the daughter of Ingrain and Power nobleman, making her Arthur's half-sister. From an early age, she was drawn to magic. Some legends suggest she was trained by Merlin, the legendary court magician, while others say she studied with mystical priestess on enchanted islands far from Camelot. Her training gave her skills unmatched by ordinary humans. She could cast illusions, manipulate minds, and even alter reality in ways that seemed malicious. In a world where magic was both feared and revered, Morgan's abilities placed her in a delicate position, respected her power, yet feared for her potential for betrayal. The seduction of power. As Morgan matured, her ambitions grew. In many versions of the legend, she was envious of Arthur's power and authority, though she had the same royal blood and magical skills. The throne of Camelot was denied to her. Legends describe her as using both cunning and dark magic to challenge Arthur. One of her most famous plots involved the legendary sword Excalibur. While Arthur wielded the sword's power, the magical scabbard protected him from bleeding to death. Morgan reportedly schemed to steal the scabbard, thereby rendering Arthur vulnerable to enemies. Some tales even suggest she enlisted knights and sorcerers in secret conspiracies to overthrow the king. Her plots were not limited to physical threats. Morgan was also a master of illusion, capable of creating phantoms, manipulating dreams, and ensnaring knights with enchantments. Many of Arthur's adversaries, from rival kings of traitorous knights, were allegedly influenced or assisted by her schemes. The ambiguity of her character. Despite her reputation as a dark sorcerer, Morgan Le Fay was not simply a villain. In some stories, she continues to aid Arthur's knights or even provides magical guidance when necessary. She represented the archetype of the morally complex witch, capable of good, yet equally capable of destruction. The duality is part of what makes her enduring. Unlike one-dimensional villains, Morgan embodies human traits magnified by supernatural power, jealousy, ambitious, intelligence, and at times compassion. In some retellings, she is portrayed as a strategic figure, misunderstood and constrained by a society that feared powerful women. Morgan Le Fay and the changing role of women in legend. Morgan's transformation from healer to antagonist mirrors societal attitudes towards women and powerful during the Middle Ages. In early Celtic and Arthurian traditions, women often held spiritual authority, knowledge of healing, and control of natural forces. But as feudal and Christian norms grew dominant, these qualities were recast as dangerous and threatening. Morgan Le Fay became a symbol of dangerous woman, a figure whose intelligence, skill, and ambition could not be contained with patriarchal society. By portraying her as a witch and sorceress, storytellers reflected societal anxieties about women who possessed power outside the domestic sphere. Magic, morality, and legend. One of the Morgan's famous interactions in the legends occurs after Arthur's death. In some versions, she became a guide to the mystical Overland, an enchanted island where Arthur is taken to heal. Her magic is not used to harm but to protect and preserve the king. Her duality reflects an essential truth about magic in Arthurian lore. It is neither inherently good nor evil. Magic amplifies the character of its wielder. Morgan's brilliance, ambition, and occasional ruthlessness make her both fascinating and dangerous. Her legend reminds us that power, when combined with knowledge and opportunity, can lead to extraordinary outcomes, whether heroic or terrifying. Morgan Le Fay remains one of the most enduring witches in literature and folklore. She has inspired countless adaptations, from medieval romances to modern novels, films, and video games. In each retelling, her character continues to evolve, reflecting contemporary attitudes toward women, power, and morality. Her story teaches that legends are not merely entertainment, they are mirrors of the societies that create them. Morgan Le Fay embodies fear, respect, and fascination with female power. She is a witch who challenges kings, tests heroes, and straddles the line between the darkness and the light. Even centuries later, the name Morgan Le Fay evokes a sense of awe and caution, a reminder of what happens when ambition and magic intersect. She is a history's warning, mythologies of what happens when ambition and the magic intersect. She is a history's warning, mythology's marvel, and literature's immortal enchantress, whose shadow continues to loom over the tales of Camelot. From ancient necromancers to mythic enchantresses and real-life poisoners, history's witches remind us how fear, power, and mystery have always shaped human imagination. Their stories are dark, fascinating, and sometimes eerie prophetic, blurring the line between myth and reality. Which of these feared witches captivated or terrified you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, exploring these chilling legends with us. Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and exploring these chilling legends with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss the journey into the shadows of history and the stories that continue to haunt us today. Thank you.